Welcome back to Movies Explained. Today's film is a thriller action from 2024 titled Rebel Ridge. The movie starts with a man named Terry Richmond cycling, listening to songs, unknowing a cop car is behind him. The cop hits Terry's bicycle and trip him over. The officers are Evan Marston and his co-officer, Steve Lan. They tell Terry that they had been chasing him to pull over because Terry broke a traffic rule, but Terry didn't hear them. They ask Terry to identify himself, and Terry reveals he is a former veteran. They go through Terry's backpack and find a package, assuming it's drugs. The cops find thousands of dollars in the package and wonder if it's drug money. Terry tells them they are illegally searching his package and assures them that the money is legit and it's for his cousin's bail that he needs to post at the courthouse where he was heading. The officers question the reason for the incarceration of Terry's cousin. Terry reveals his young cousin, Mike, was arrested for possession of weed, but he wasn't dealing it. The cops now suspect him to be in cahoots with Mike, but Terry reveals he got his 30 grand by selling his car and buying a steak in a restaurant called Can Long Chinese. The 10 grand is to post Mike's bail, and the remaining 20,000 are to buy a new truck and a boat. The officers seem racist and don't trust Terry, so they hold his money under drug conspiracy and let him go. Terry argues he needs his money now, but the officers refuse and inform him that he has to fight in court for the money and he can then get it after 30 days. Terry complies because he doesn't want any trouble, so the cops leave and Terry continues his journey to the courthouse. At the courthouse, Terry meets a court clerk named Elliot. Terry asks Elliot to post his cousin's bail, but he got harassed by cops on his way and they took all of his cash. Elliot informs him he can't help in this case because he needs a lawyer for it. Terry tries to reason that the cops' car had the same watermark as their court, meaning they can collect the bail money from the cops, but Elliot refuses, claiming that's not how it works. He mentions the prisoners are being relocated to the state jail because the local jail is being renovated. Elliot heads out and introduces Terry to his co-worker Summer McBride. Summer is also a court clerk and a studying lawyer. Summer takes Terry to a shop to buy drinks. There, she reveals that the local police have been confiscating money from the citizens for quite some time, using legal formalities because they don't get any funds. Terry tells Summer about his cousin's situation. Mike had given credible information about some dangerous criminals to reduce his jail time. If he gets transferred to another prison, chances are he might get assaulted by some prisoners. Summer tells Terry to arrange 10 grand before Mike's transfer on Thursday. Now, Terry calls his partner, Mr. Liu, the owner of the Chinese restaurant that he part owns. He informs Mr. Liu of his situation and asks for 10 grand to bail out Mike. Mr. Liu is concerned, but agrees to transfer the money. At night, Terry camps in the forest and locates the police department that is holding his money. The next day, Terry arrives at the station and files a robbery with Officer Jessica Sims. He describes the robbers as Officer Evan and Steve, but Officer Steve arrives at the station and scraps Terry's complaint. The department chief, Sandy Byrne, steps in and tells Terry that he's been aware of the situation and they are only acting legally. Sandy points out Terry's recording, so Terry makes an offer to Sandy where he gets only 10 grand for the bail and Sandy's department can keep the rest as funds. The chief is greedy, so he considers the deal, but Terry asks to meet his cousin first before the transfer. Sandy tells Terry to visit the station on Thursday at 9 a.m. Now, Terry arrives on Thursday, but notices the prisoner's bus has departed. Sandy had moved up the schedule of the transfer just to mess with Terry. Terry rushes to the road and chases the bus. He rides up to the bus and informs his cousin that he'll be in danger in the new prison, so he should ask for protective custody as soon as he enters the jail. Terry now heads to the courthouse and meets with Summer in the back. Summer reveals that she found out the cops are corrupt and they are being aided by her courthouse judge as well. She plans to bust them with Terry, but they need to rescue Mike first. Summer instructs Terry to bring the 10 grand to Elliot today, as soon as possible. Terry heads back to the police department and faces Chief Sandy again. Officer Steve enters the discussion and they erupt into a fight. Terry disarms both of them one by one and takes them captive. He cuffs them and takes Officer Jessica into their property room. There he finds numerous weapons and their funds. Terry takes his 10 grand and leaves the remaining 20 as per their deal. He guides Jessica to take him outside like she arrested him and drive him away so the cops outside don't shoot. She drives him to a remote location and releases him. Terry now quickly brings the money to Elliot, who then posts Mike's bail. Summer takes the bail to their judge for his signature, while Terry suspects the cops might arrive anytime, and they do. They taser Terry and arrest him. Terry now wakes up in the catacombs of the courthouse, where Officer Evan mentions Terry to meet with the chief again. He takes Terry and picks up Sandy. They drive off, and Sandy tells Terry to bury the hatchet because something unpleasant has happened. They drive him to a hospital and return his remaining money. Sandy informs him that Mike got attacked in the prison and he is being brought here. They tell Terry to never come back here. Otherwise, they will eliminate him for the ruckus he caused at their station. Terry gets angry but takes the deal. Sandy and Evans leave while Terry enters the hospital to see Mike. Unfortunately, Mike doesn't survive the attack and dies. Terry now drives with Summer to head back to his town. On their way, they get chased by a cop, and Summer reveals it's just her friend that is concerned. Summer reveals that she discovered a pattern of the cops making traffic stops like Terry's, where they had to take serious action. Terry refuses to help her now because he is sick and tired of the cops. He shares his contact with her and bids her farewell. Summer reaches home and wakes up at night, realizing someone broke into her house and drugged her. She realizes the cops are behind this, so she quickly calls Terry. Terry breaks into Summer's house and finds her lying in the shower. Summer reveals the police injected her with a drug she used to take when she was a junkie. She reveals she lost her custody of the daughter because of drug abuse, and it's also the terms of the condition of her job that she refrains from this drug. She worries she'll get tested, but Terry assures her it won't happen. In the morning, Summer arrives at the courthouse, and the judge wants to see her. The judge wants Summer to be tested for the drug because he's in cahoots with the cops and they want Summer out of the picture. Out of options, Summer submits her urine sample. Meanwhile, Terry drives back to his town but comes across Officer Steve. Steve signals his partners who block the road from both ends so Terry doesn't escape. Terry cooperates, but Steve shoots him. Terry gets wounded but fights back. He tases Steve with his taser and drives into the fields while the cops shoot at him. Terry ditches his truck and heads to his Chinese hotel. Summer now reaches the restaurant and finds a wounded Terry, getting patched up, Mr. Liu. Summer brought burner phones with them so the cops don't trace them. Terry and Summer hatch up a plan to bust the cops and make some visits to some people. They visit Elliot first, but he's of no use, so Elliot suggests they visit the judge. They visit the judge, and he reveals he had been working with Sandy for a long time. The judge mentions that Sandy's department was broke and no one would fund them, so they started using strict illegal actions to bring in money, like they did with Terry. The civilians would have to defend their money in court, and they'd always lose. The government did nothing because they were also getting part of the fund. These traffic stops were recorded in the dash cams, which were stored in the catacombs of the courthouse, so Summer and Terry decide to steal them. They break into the courthouse and realize the cops were already there, trying to blow up the evidence room, but Summer quickly puts out the fire. They enter the evidence room and find the hard disks have been destroyed, but the memory cards are safe, so they grab them. Terry reignites the fire, causing the room to blow so the cops don't return. Terry heads out while Summer decides to recover her urine sample. She gets caught by the cops who hadn't left the courthouse, and Terry notices them outside, putting Summer in their car. Terry tails the cops to a remote area where they switch cars and split up. Officer McGill remains behind, so Terry drives his car into him. He puts McGill in a chokehold and proceeds to question him. Terry uses his radio to talk with Sandy, who offers to exchange Summer for the evidence they have at Rebel Ridge by dawn, and Terry agrees. Steve and the other cops wait for Terry with Summer, but he doesn't show up. At dawn, Sandy gets a call in the station from Terry, who's threatening Sandy. On the other hand, Officer Evan comes across Terry's car and thinks he located him. Evan approaches the car and finds out Terry had tied Officer McGill in his car as a trap. Terry is revealed to be at the backside of the police station in another car. Terry breaks open the station back wall to enter their property room. Jessica alerts the cops that Terry's at the station. while Sandy quickly rushes to save his funds. Terry had already broken into his weapons vault and shoots Sandy with beanbag rounds. Jessica arrives, but it is revealed she is Summer's friend in the Force. Terry trusts Jessica with the memory cards and guides her to upload them. Terry loads Sandy's weapons while the remaining officers arrive at the station. Terry hands Jessica his loaded gun and piles up Sandy's money to burn them, but Jessica turns against him because she doesn't want anyone to die. Jessica takes Terry outside, where Steve takes the cards and breaks them. Steve opens his car door and reveals that Summer is with her, and he gave her strong drugs that will end her soon. Steve now wants to shoot Terry, but Officer Evan believes they are being too quick, so he turns on the cops. Sandy shoots Evan in the leg and disarms him. He advises his men to be cautious. Meanwhile, Terry runs away and drags Evan with him to hide behind a car. Terry starts shooting smoke grenades to distract the cops, while Evan tells him to turn on any dashcam because it will go live after 3 minutes and other cops will get alert. Terry starts fighting the cops one by one and takes his revenge on Steve for shooting him in the back. Terry knocks Steve out and enters his car to turn on the dashcam. Summer is also in the car, so he turns on the dashcams and drives the car towards Evan and rescues him. Terry drives off with them, but Steve gets in the way and holds on to the car. He fights Terry and tries to enter through the back, but Summer pushes him off. Their tire gets punctured, so Sandy and his cops catch up to them. Sandy signals Jessica to take out Terry's car, but he crashes Sandy's car. Meanwhile, other cops arrive to escort Terry and the gang to a hospital because the dashcam footage went live and they saw the cops shooting at Evan. They arrive at the hospital, where Summer and Evan get rushed into the critical ward. Terry then rips out the dashcam device from the car and keeps it for himself, and the movie ends here. I hope you liked the story recap. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching and see you next time.